I told my boyfriend we should have an open relationship, but only on my side because he was too immature to handle it. He agreed. Then invited my parents over for my first date. I need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing what just happened, and honestly, I don't know who else to tell. I'm 28, been with my boyfriend Gabriel for 3 years. I work as a conservation biologist, long hours, field work, the whole thing. Gabriel's a personal trainer at a boutique gym downtown. We met through mutual friends, and for the first 2 years, everything was great. Stable. Comfortable. Safe, but lately, I've been feeling restless. Not in a I want to break up way, but in a is this all there is? way. I started listening to podcasts about relationship structures, reading books on ethical non-monogamy, following therapists on social media who talk about deconstructing traditional relationship norms. The more I learned, the more I realized, monogamy isn't the only option. It's just the default we've been conditioned to accept. So I started planning. For 3 weeks, I prepared how I'd bring this up to Gabriel. I highlighted passages in The Ethical Slut, bookmarked articles from Psychology Today, saved Instagram posts about secure attachment and compersion. I wasn't just going to spring this on him, I was going to present a thoughtful, well-researched proposal. Last Tuesday, I sat him down after dinner. My laptop was open with tabs ready, just in case I needed to reference something. Gabriel, I want to talk about our relationship structure, I started. He looked up from his phone, curious but not alarmed. Okay, I took a breath. I've been doing a lot of reading and self-reflection, and I think we should consider opening our relationship. Just on my side, though. He blinked. What do you mean, just your side? I mean, I'd like the freedom to explore connections with other people, physically and emotionally, but you'd remain monogamous with me. The words came out smoother than I'd practiced. I explained how this wasn't about him not being enough, but about me being honest about my needs. I told him that monogamy is a social construct designed to control women's sexuality, and that by being transparent about wanting more, I was actually honoring our relationship more than people who cheat in secret. I've thought about this a lot, I continued, pulling up one of the articles. I'm emotionally mature enough to handle this kind of arrangement. But I know you'd struggle with jealousy if we made it mutual. You're not there yet in terms of security, and that's okay. This way, we both get what we need. I get to explore, and you get the comfort of traditional monogamy. Gabriel was quiet for a long moment. He set his phone down. So let me make sure I understand, he said slowly. You want to sleep with other men? I stay faithful to you. That's what you're proposing? I mean, I wouldn't phrase it that way exactly, but yes. Essentially, and you think I'm not mature enough to handle an open relationship on both sides? It's not a judgment, babe. Everyone's at different points in their emotional development. I've done the work, therapy, reading, self-reflection. You're more traditional in how you view relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. I waited for the argument. The hurt feelings. The negotiation. Instead, Gabriel nodded slowly. Okay, I almost asked him to repeat himself. Okay, yeah. Let's try it. Really? I couldn't hide my surprise. You're okay with this? I mean, you clearly want it. You've done your research. Who am I to stand in the way of your growth? His voice was neutral. Calm. Maybe a little flat, but I figured he was processing. I wasn't expecting you to agree so easily, I admitted. Would you have preferred I fight you on it? No. This is good. This is mature. I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. Thank you for being so understanding. Over the next few days, Gabriel didn't bring it up again. He went to work, came home, cooked dinner, watched TV. Normal routine. I wondered if he was in denial, but I didn't push. I figured he needed time to adjust to the idea. Then Friday morning, I mentioned I'd matched with someone on a dating app. A guy from my gym, actually. Quincy. We'd been flirting for weeks, and when I changed my profile to ethically non-monogamous, he'd messaged immediately. We're getting drinks tonight, I told Gabriel over coffee. Around 7. I'll probably be out late. Gabriel looked up from his breakfast. Do you want me to leave? So you can bring him back here if things go well? I paused. I hadn't thought about logistics. Would you be comfortable with that? It's your apartment. I'm just staying here most nights anyway. I can grab my overnight bag, crash at my buddy's place. Give you space. The offer was so accommodating. Generous, even. I felt a surge of affection for him. You're really handling this well. Just want you to be happy, he said. That evening, Gabriel packed a small bag around 5. He kissed my cheek on his way out. Have fun. Text me if you need anything. I spent the next 2 hours getting ready. I wore the black dress I'd been saving, the one that hugged in all the right places. Did my makeup carefully. hair down and wavy. I felt powerful. Desired. Free. At 6:55, I checked myself in the mirror one last time. Quincy was due any minute. Gabriel had texted an hour ago, at Connor's place. You've got the apartment to yourself. I poured myself a glass of wine, feeling deliciously nervous. At exactly 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. I smoothed my dress, took a breath, and opened the door with my most confident smile. Standing on my doorstep were my parents, my younger sister Bridget, and Gabriel, all of them stone-faced. My smile died. My mother's expression was unreadable. My father's jaw was tight. Bridget looked almost satisfied. And Gabriel? Gabriel looked calm. Composed. There was something behind his eyes I'd never seen before. Hi, honey, my mother said quietly. Gabriel called us. Said we needed to talk. My stomach dropped. Gabriel stepped forward, his voice polite and measured. Please, everyone come in. They filed into my apartment like mourners at a funeral. My father's shoes were deliberate on the hardwood. My mother clutched her purse against her chest. Bridget was the last one in, and she closed the door behind her with a soft click that sounded like a cell door locking. I stood there in my black dress, wine glass still in hand, trying to process what was happening. I don't understand, I managed. What's going on? Have a seat, everyone, Gabriel said, gesturing to my living room like it was his space, not mine. My parents sat on the couch. Bridget took the armchair. Gabriel remained standing near the door. I didn't sit. Gabriel, what is this? Just a family conversation, he said. One I think is overdue. Behind me, I heard footsteps on the stairs outside. Through the door's peephole, I could see Quincy approaching. Before I could move, Gabriel opened the door. Hey man, he said to Quincy, his voice friendly. I'm so sorry, there's a family emergency. Now's not a good time. Quincy looked past Gabriel at me, confused. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. What could I say? My boyfriend, who'd supposedly left for the night, was sending away the date he'd given me permission to have. Okay, Quincy said slowly. Should I text you later? Don't bother, Gabriel said, still pleasant. He closed the door before I could respond. Gabriel, I said, my voice shaking now. What the hell? Let's all sit down, my father interrupted. His tone left no room for argument. I sat on the ottoman, across from my parents. My wine glass trembled slightly in my hand. I set it down on the coffee table. Gabriel pulled out his phone. I want to make sure I get this right, he said, scrolling. So I'm going to read from the notes I took during our conversation last Tuesday. My blood went cold. On Tuesday evening, my girlfriend, your daughter, proposed a relationship restructuring. Gabriel's voice was steady, almost clinical. She wants to maintain our relationship while pursuing physical and emotional connections with other men. I, however, would remain sexually and romantically exclusive to her. My mother's face went pale. My father's expression didn't change, but I saw his hand tighten on the armrest. That's not, you're oversimplifying it, I stammered. Gabriel, this is a private conversation. You can't just. She explained that she's done extensive research on ethical non-monogamy, Gabriel continued, reading from his phone. She said she's emotionally mature enough to handle this arrangement, but that I'm not. Quote, you are more traditional in how you view relationships. You're not there yet in terms of security. Bridget's eyebrows rose. She leaned forward slightly. She told me that by being transparent about wanting more, she was honoring our relationship more than people who cheat in secret. And she asked if I was comfortable with her bringing other men back to her apartment, our shared space most nights, for lovemaking. Okay, stop, I said, standing up. This is completely out of context. Yes, I proposed an open relationship structure, but there's actual research behind this. Monogamy is a social construct that. Is it true? My father asked. His voice cut through my explanation like a knife. Is what true? Did you ask Gabriel to remain faithful to you while you sleep with other men? The way he phrased it, stripped of all the theory, all the intellectual framework, made it sound so ugly. It's more nuanced than that, Dad. There are entire communities built around ethical non-monogamy. Relationship anarchy. Polyamory. People are challenging traditional structures all the time. And? Yes or no, my father said. Did you propose this arrangement to Gabriel? My throat felt tight. I proposed an open relationship on my side, yes, but. Why just your side? My mother asked quietly. Because Gabriel isn't ready for that level of emotional complexity. I was trying to meet us both where we are. I was being honest about my needs instead of. You told him he wasn't mature enough, Bridget said. It wasn't a question. You literally told your boyfriend he wasn't evolved enough to handle what you can handle. That's not, I was trying to honor his boundaries. By deciding what his boundaries are without asking him? Bridget's voice had an edge I'd never heard before. By telling him what he can and can't handle? I looked at Gabriel, desperate. Tell them. Tell them you agreed to this. Gabriel met my eyes. His expression was unreadable. I did agree. After you spent 20 minutes explaining why I wasn't secure enough to handle a mutual open relationship. After you told me I was too traditional and not emotionally developed enough. Yes, I agreed. The room went silent. My father stood up slowly. He looked at me for a long moment, a look I'd never seen from him before. Disappointment so deep it felt physical. Don't call me, he said. Dad. I mean it. He walked toward the door. My mother followed without a word, her hand over her mouth. Bridget lingered just long enough to whisper as she passed, "You're so selfish." Then they were gone. I stood there in my black dress, the apartment suddenly too quiet. Gabriel was still by the door, his overnight bag on his shoulder. He'd never actually left. He'd been planning this the whole time. "You set me up," I said, my voice hollow. Gabriel picked up his keys from the bowl by the door. "No. I just made sure your family knew who you really are." "This is cruel, Gabriel. This is manipulative and..." "I'm not against open relationships," he said calmly. "Just ones where I'm treated like a placeholder. Where my girlfriend decides I'm not evolved enough to be her equal." He opened the door. "Gabriel, wait. I'll come by this week for my things. I'll text first. You can't just, we need to talk about this." He looked at me one last time. There was no anger in his face. No hurt. Just a quiet certainty that made my stomach drop. "I'm done being your supporting character," he said. Then he left. I stood alone in my apartment, still dressed for a date that would never happen, and pulled out my phone with shaking hands. 17 missed calls from Bridget. 12 texts from my mother. And 1 email notification from my father's law firm. Subject line, estate planning update. I opened it. The email was from my father's estate attorney. Professional. Sterile. 3 paragraphs outlining changes to his will and trust structure. Bridget's share had increased by 15%. Mine was now conditional upon demonstrating mature decision-making and adherence to family values, to be determined at the discretion of the executor. There was a second paragraph about a business loan he'd promised me. 6 months ago, I'd told him about a research grant opportunity that needed matching funds. He'd agreed to back it. The email politely informed me that given recent circumstances, he was withdrawing his financial commitment. I read it 3 times, waiting for it to feel real. My phone buzzed. Bridget calling again. I declined it. A text came through immediately. "You can't ignore this forever." I threw my phone on the couch and poured another glass of wine. My hands were steadier now, but only because I'd gone numb. The texts from my mother were worse than my father's silence. She'd written paragraphs. Long, wandering messages about how she'd raised me to be thoughtful and kind, how she didn't recognize the person Gabriel had described, how she needed time to process everything. The subtext was clear. She believed Gabriel's version of events completely. I spent the next 2 hours doing what I do best, research. I compiled articles about ethical non-monogamy from Psychology Today, The Atlantic, The New York Times. I found academic papers about relationship structures and attachment theory. I bookmarked a TED Talk about compersion and jealousy. At midnight, I sent everything to my mother in one long email. Subject line, "Please read this with an open mind." I explained the difference between cheating and consensual non-monogamy. I cited studies about how honest communication strengthens relationships. I broke down the philosophy behind relationship anarchy and how traditional structures are rooted in patriarchal ownership models. I hit send and felt a small surge of hope. Once she understood the framework, she'd see I wasn't being selfish, I was being evolved. Her response came 6 minutes later. "This isn't about open relationships. It's about how you treated someone who loved you, like he was beneath you, not mature enough, just a safety net. That's not progressive, honey. That's selfish." I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Gabriel didn't contact me for 5 days. I went to work, conducted my field surveys, wrote my reports. My colleagues noticed I was off, but I brushed it away. "Just tired," I said. I tried calling Gabriel twice. Both went to voicemail. I texted asking when he'd come get his things. No response. On day 6, he finally replied, "Tomorrow at 3. I'll be quick." He showed up exactly at 3 with 2 of his gym buddies, Connor and some other guy I didn't know. They moved through my apartment like a tactical team. Gym bag from the closet. Toiletries from the bathroom. Protein powder from the kitchen. The book on my nightstand that he'd been reading. I stood in the living room, watching them work. "Gabriel, can we talk?" I asked. "Not much to say," he replied, folding a shirt. "I think there's a lot to say, actually. You ambushed me. You invited my family to humiliate me. I invited your family to hear the truth. His voice was maddeningly calm. You proposed something that would fundamentally change our relationship. They had a right to know what kind of person their daughter is. What kind of person? I felt heat rise in my chest. I was being honest with you. I was trying to communicate openly instead of cheating behind your back like. You wanted permission to cheat, Gabriel interrupted. Let's not dress it up as communication. Connor and the other guy exchanged glances but kept packing. That's not fair, I said. I did research. I tried to approach this thoughtfully. You told me I wasn't mature enough to handle what you could handle. Gabriel stopped folding and looked at me directly. You decided my boundaries for me. You made our entire relationship about your needs and my inadequacy. I never said you were inadequate. You were not there yet in terms of security. You'd struggle with jealousy. You were more traditional in how you view relationships. He quoted my own words back at me. Every single thing you said positioned you as more evolved and me as some insecure child who needed monogamy as a security blanket. I opened my mouth and closed it again. I'm not against open relationships, Gabriel continued, his voice still even. I'm against being treated like a placeholder. Like someone whose feelings and boundaries don't matter as much as yours. He zipped up his duffel bag. Connor grabbed a box of Gabriel's workout supplements from the kitchen. I deserve better than being your supporting character while you explore, Gabriel said. And honestly? You deserve to figure out why you can't just be with someone without needing validation from strangers. That landed like a punch. We're done here, Gabriel said to his friends. They headed for the door. Gabriel, wait. He turned back, hand on the doorframe. What? Are you going to tell people? About the proposal? Something flickered across his face. Not quite a smile. I don't need to tell anyone anything. Your actions speak for themselves. Then he was gone. I stood in my suddenly emptier apartment and tried to breathe normally. Over the next week, I noticed the shift. Friends stopped inviting me to group hangs. A colleague who usually chatted with me in the break room suddenly had somewhere else to be. At my gym, not the one where Gabriel works, I felt eyes on me. I ran into my friend Heather at the grocery store. We'd known each other since college. Hey, I said, genuinely happy to see a familiar face. Want to grab coffee this week? She looked uncomfortable. I'm pretty busy. Maybe another time. Is this about Gabriel? Heather shifted her grocery basket. Look, I don't want to get involved. But, yeah. People are talking. Talking about what? The open relationship thing? Because if you actually understood the philosophy behind. It's not about the philosophy, Heather said quietly. It's about how you treated him. Like he should be grateful you were being honest instead of just leaving him if you wanted other people. She left before I could respond. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the ambush. Something about it nagged at me. How had Gabriel gotten everyone to my apartment at exactly 7 p.m.? I'd only told him about the date with Quincy that morning. He would have had to contact my parents, coordinate schedules, plan the whole thing. I sat up in bed. I'd told him that morning. But he'd texted me at 5 p.m. saying he was already at Connor's place. Said I had the apartment to myself. If he was planning the ambush, he would have needed more time. He would have needed to know about the date earlier than that morning. I grabbed my phone and opened my location sharing settings. My stomach dropped. Gabriel had access to my location. Had been accessing it for months, according to the activity log. I'd shared it with him a year ago when I was doing field work in remote areas, just for safety, and never turned it off. I scrolled through the access history. He'd checked my location multiple times a day. Every single day, but that wasn't what made my hands shake. I opened my Google account and checked the activity log for devices accessing my data. There was a login from Gabriel's laptop. 2 weeks before I'd even proposed the open relationship, he'd accessed my browser history, all my bookmarked articles about ethical non-monogamy, my saved Instagram posts, my podcast subscriptions. He'd known I was planning this conversation before I'd even had it, and he'd let me walk right into his trap. I spent the entire next day documenting everything. Screenshots of the location tracking. The login history showing Gabriel accessing my Google account. Timestamps proving he'd looked at my browser history 2 weeks before our conversation. He'd known what I was planning, and instead of talking to me about it, he'd set up an elaborate public humiliation. That was manipulation. That was calculated. That made him the bad guy, not me. I felt vindicated for the first time in 2 weeks. I drafted a message to my mother, fingers flying across the keyboard. I explained how Gabriel had violated my privacy, how he'd tracked my location without my knowledge, how he'd planned the entire ambush as revenge for something I hadn't even done yet. He didn't give me a chance to have an honest conversation, I wrote. He turned my family against me based on a proposal I made in good faith. He surveilled me like I was a criminal. And everyone is acting like he's the victim? I attached all the screenshots and hit send. Then I sent a similar message to Bridget. And to my father's email. And to Heather. I even posted a vague message on social media. Finding out someone violated your privacy and tracked your location without consent is a special kind of betrayal. Trust your gut about people. The responses started coming within the hour. My mother called. I answered, expecting an apology. Did Gabriel know your phone password? She asked. What? No, he used my laptop when So you gave him access to your accounts? I mean, we shared a laptop sometimes when his was charging, but... And the location sharing. Did you enable that yourself? I hesitated. Yes, but that was a year ago for safety reasons. He was supposed to. So he had permission to access the information, my mother said. He didn't hack into anything. You gave him access and forgot to revoke it. That's not the point, Mom. The point is he used that access to find out you were planning to propose cheating on him. It wasn't cheating if I was being honest about. You keep saying that like it matters. My mother's voice was tight. Honey, you're missing the forest for the trees. Gabriel seeing your browser history doesn't change what you asked him to do. It doesn't make your proposal any less selfish, but he manipulated the situation. He invited you all there to humiliate me when he invited us there because he knew you wouldn't listen to him if he tried to talk to you alone, she said. And based on how you're acting right now, he was probably right. She hung up before I could respond. Bridget texted 30 minutes later, you're really trying to make yourself the victim here? You proposed something gross, got called out on it, and now you're mad Gabriel didn't just quietly accept your BS? Grow up. My father didn't respond at all. Heather replied to my message with, I think you need to take a step back and really reflect on this. The tracking thing is weird, sure, but it doesn't erase what you tried to do to him. The social media post was a mistake. I realized it when the comments started rolling in. Most people didn't know the full context, but enough of my mutual friends with Gabriel did. Is this about the open relationship thing? Someone commented, wait, isn't this the girl who wanted to sleep around while her boyfriend stayed faithful? Another wrote, LM Woo, imagine trying to play victim after that. I deleted the post within 2 hours, but the damage was done. I tried going back to therapy. My therapist, Dr. Morrison, had been seeing me on and off for a year. I feel like I'm being gaslit, I told her. Gabriel violated my privacy. He tracked me. He planned a public humiliation. But everyone is acting like I'm the problem. Dr. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Let's separate those things. The location tracking and the browser history, those do concern me. That's a violation of privacy, even if you technically gave permission initially. Thank you, I said, feeling heard for the first time in weeks. But, she continued, that doesn't change the core issue. You proposed a relationship structure where you had freedom and Gabriel had restrictions. You framed it as him being less emotionally mature. Can you see how that's problematic regardless of how he found out? I was trying to be honest about my needs. Were you? Or were you trying to have your cake and eat it too? I stared at her. Think about it, Dr. Morrison said. If you genuinely wanted ethical non-monogamy, you would have proposed mutual freedom. Instead, you proposed a hierarchy where your needs came first and his came. Not at all, but he agreed to it. After you told him he wasn't secure enough to handle anything else. You didn't give him a real choice. You gave him an ultimatum dressed up as communication. I left the session early. 2 weeks later, I ran into Gabriel at a coffee shop downtown. He was with a woman I didn't recognize, tall, red hair, confident smile. She was saying something that made Gabriel laugh, genuinely laugh, in a way I hadn't seen in months. They were standing close. Easy with each other. Gabriel saw me and nodded politely. Just a neighbor acknowledging another neighbor. The woman glanced at me, then back at Gabriel. He must have said something to her because she squeezed his arm and went to grab their drinks. I walked over before I could stop myself. New girlfriend? I asked. Friend, Gabriel said. Not that it's your business. I know about the tracking, I blurted out. The browser history. The location monitoring. You violated my privacy. Gabriel's expression didn't change. You gave me access to your laptop. You shared your location with me. I didn't hack anything. You used that access to manipulate me. I used that access to understand what you were planning, he corrected. And I made a decision about how to handle it. You're right, I knew what you were going to propose before you said it. And I decided your family deserved to know what kind of person they raised. That's cruel, Gabriel, is it? He tilted his head slightly. Was it cruel when you spent 3 weeks preparing to ask me to be your backup boyfriend while you explored other options? When you decided I wasn't evolved enough to be your equal? The red-haired woman returned with their drinks. She handed one to Gabriel and looked at me with polite curiosity. This is my ex, Gabriel told her. We were just finishing up. Actually, I said, We're not done. You owe me an apology. I don't owe you anything, Gabriel said, his voice still calm but with an edge now. You proposed something that would have destroyed my self-respect. I chose to protect myself. That's not manipulation. That's self-preservation. He started to walk away with the woman. People should know what you did, I called after him. The tracking. The planning. The ambush. Gabriel turned back. Go ahead and tell them. See if it changes anything. Something in his tone made my stomach drop. What do you mean? I mean people already know, and they don't care. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who tried to turn your boyfriend into a placeholder. Everything else is just noise. He left with the woman, their heads close together as they walked out. I stood there with my lukewarm coffee and pulled out my phone. I typed Gabriel's name into Facebook, curious if he'd posted anything about us. His profile came up. The privacy settings were tight, but I could see his most recent profile picture, him with the red-haired woman and two other couples at what looked like a dinner party. The comments were full of support. So happy you're surrounding yourself with good people. You deserve this, man. Glad you got away from that toxic situation. One comment made me freeze. It was from my colleague, Dr. Patterson, someone I'd worked with for 3 years. Someone who'd never met Gabriel. Your ex tried to pull the same let me sleep around while you stay faithful thing? Dodged a bullet, dude. Some people are just built selfish. I clicked on Dr. Patterson's profile and scrolled through recent posts. There it was. A shared post from someone named Wesley, one of Gabriel's gym friends. The post was a screenshot of a text conversation. My stomach sank as I read it. It was my proposal to Gabriel, word for word, shared publicly with the caption, "Fellas, this is what manipulation looks like." She wanted permission to cheat and called it emotional maturity. Know your worth. The post had 777 shares. One of them was from my sister. I spent 3 hours going through the shares of Wesley's post. My sister had shared it with the caption, "This is why I don't feel bad anymore." 43 people I knew had liked or commented on her share. Friends from high school. Cousins. My mother's co-workers. I clicked through to Wesley's original post. The comments were brutal. "I'm emotionally mature enough but you're not." The audacity. She really told him he's too insecure for an open relationship and then asked him to stay faithful while she sleeps around? That's not progressive, that's just using therapy language to be an idiot. This is why the manosphere exists. I reported the post for violating privacy. Facebook rejected my report within an hour. This content doesn't violate our community standards. I tried calling Bridget. It went to voicemail. I texted, "You shared something private about my relationship publicly. How could you do that?" Her response came 20 minutes later. "How could you treat Gabriel like garbage and expect everyone to congratulate you for it? This is between Gabriel and me. You had no right. You made it everyone's business when you involved mom and dad. And honestly, people should know what you tried to do, so they can avoid ending up like Gabriel." I threw my phone across the room. Monday morning, I walked into the research facility where I work and immediately felt it. Dr. Patterson avoided eye contact. My research assistant, Ingrid, God, even her name reminded me of this nightmare now, was cold and professional instead of her usual friendly self. At lunch, I sat alone. I'd been eating with the same group for 2 years. Today, their table was full, but somehow there was no room when I approached with my tray. "Actually," Dr. Patterson said quickly, "we're discussing a private project." Sorry, I ate in my car. That afternoon, my supervisor called me into her office. "I want to be direct with you," Dr. Yates said. She was in her 60s, sharp, not one for small talk. "There's been some chatter about your personal life." My face burned. "That's not relevant to my work." Normally, I'd agree. But when your colleagues feel uncomfortable around you, it becomes relevant. Uncomfortable? Because of something my ex-boyfriend's friend posted on Facebook? Because of what the post revealed about your character? Dr. Yates folded her hands. "I'm not here to judge your relationship choices. But the way you're described in that conversation, the condescension, the manipulation of someone who trusted you, it raises questions about how you interact with colleagues. That's not fair. My personal relationship has nothing to do with." Dr. Patterson told me you once referred to him as not intellectually curious enough for a research project. In front of junior staff. I opened my mouth. Closed it. I had said that 6 months ago. I'd thought it was constructive feedback. And Ingrid mentioned you've repeatedly dismissed her input on field protocols because she hasn't done enough reading on the theoretical framework. She hasn't. I caught myself. I was trying to maintain research standards. You were being condescending. Dr. Yates's voice wasn't unkind, but it was firm. The pattern people see in that Facebook post? They see it here too. And it's affecting team morale. So what? I'm being punished for my personal life now. You're being asked to reflect on how you treat people. All people. Not just romantic partners. She leaned back. Take a few days off. Think about whether you want to continue being part of this team, because if you do, some things need to change. I left her office in a daze. I drove to my parents' house without calling first. Bridget's car was in the driveway. Of course it was. I rang the doorbell. My mother answered, looking tired. Can we talk? I asked. Bridget's here. I know. I want to talk to both of you. My mother hesitated, then let me in. Bridget was in the kitchen, helping prep dinner. She looked up when I entered, her expression guarded. Why did you share that post? I asked her directly. Because it was true, Bridget said. Because I'm tired of watching you treat people like they're lucky to know you. That's not. It is, though. Bridget set down the knife she'd been using to chop vegetables. You've always done this. With boyfriends. With friends. With me. With you? You think I don't notice how you talk to me? Like I'm some simple housewife who doesn't understand the complexities of your world? You've made me feel stupid for wanting a traditional relationship. For wanting kids and a mortgage and a normal life. I never said you were stupid. You didn't have to say it. It's in every eye roll when I talk about wedding planning. Every comment about how I'm playing it safe with my life choices. Every article you've sent me about how women are socialized to want marriage. Bridget's voice cracked. You made me feel like less of a feminist because I want different things than you do. The words hit harder than I expected. I was just trying to expose you to different perspectives. No, you were trying to make yourself feel superior. Bridget wiped her eyes. And watching you do the same thing to Gabriel, tell him he's not mature enough, not evolved enough, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. My mother was leaning against the counter, watching us. Mom? I looked at her, desperate for someone to be on my side. She sighed. Do you remember Adam? Your boyfriend's sophomore year of college? What does that have to? You broke up with him because he wasn't ambitious enough. Those were your words. He wasn't. He wanted to teach high school English. He wanted to teach high school English, my mother repeated. And you made him feel like that was a failure. Like he should want more because you wanted more. I was encouraging him to reach his potential. You were projecting your ambitions onto him. My mother's voice was gentle but firm. Just like you projected your ideas about emotional maturity onto Gabriel. Just like you project your version of feminism onto your sister. I felt something crack inside me. So everyone thinks I'm just. What? Some awful person who. We think you're someone who's so focused on being right that you forget to be kind, my mother said. So focused on being evolved that you forget to be respectful. I sat down at the kitchen table, my legs suddenly weak. Gabriel knew what I was planning, I said quietly. He tracked my location. Read my browser history. Set up an ambush. And it was still less manipulative than what you tried to do to him, Bridget said. The words hung in the air. I wanted to argue. To defend myself. To pull up articles and studies and theories that would prove I was right. But sitting there in my mother's kitchen, watching my sister cry, seeing the disappointment in my mother's eyes, for the first time since this all started, I couldn't find the words. I need to go, I said, standing up abruptly. Wait, my mother started, but I was already walking to the door. I sat in my car in their driveway for 20 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, not moving. My phone buzzed. A LinkedIn message. It was from a colleague at another research facility, someone I'd been networking with about a potential collaboration. Hi. I heard about some personal issues affecting your professional reputation. I want to be upfront, we're going to pass on the project collaboration. Wishing you the best. I stared at the message. Then I opened my notes app and started typing. Why did I need Gabriel to stay faithful while I explored? The question sat there on the screen. I couldn't think of a single answer that didn't make me sound exactly like what everyone said I was. Selfish. Condescending. Manipulative. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. The text read, "This is Quincy. The guy from your gym? Just wanted to let you know I found out what happened with you and your ex. Not interested in staying in touch. Good luck with everything." I put my head on the steering wheel. Everything I'd built, my reputation, my relationships, my self-image as someone evolved and progressive, was crumbling. And for the first time, I couldn't blame Gabriel for it. I went back to therapy the next week. I need you to tell me the truth, I said to Dr. Morrison. Not the therapy version where you gently guide me to insights. Just tell me, am I a bad person? She was quiet for a long moment. I think you're someone who's been using intellectual frameworks to avoid examining your actual behavior, she finally said. You can quote studies about ethical non-monogamy all day, but that doesn't change the fact that you wanted Gabriel to play a role he never agreed to. I know that now, I said. My voice was flat. Everyone's made that very clear. Do you, though? Dr. Morrison leaned forward. Because you're still framing this as something that happened to you. Gabriel exposed you. Your family turned on you. Your colleagues judged you. But you're missing the active part. What you did to create this situation. I looked down at my hands. I proposed an open relationship structure that benefited only me, I said slowly. I told Gabriel he wasn't emotionally mature enough to handle what I could handle. I made him feel less than. I treated him like a placeholder. Keep going. I did the same thing to my sister. Made her feel like her life choices were inferior to mine. I did it to Adam in college. I've done it to colleagues. My throat felt tight. I've spent years believing I was more evolved than everyone around me, and I used that belief to justify being condescending, dismissive. How does that feel to say out loud? Like I want to disappear. Dr. Morrison nodded. That's shame. Genuine shame, not defensiveness. Sit with that feeling. It's important. I didn't go back to work right away. I used the forced time off to think. I reread my old messages to Gabriel. The way I'd phrased things. You'd struggle with jealousy. You're not ready for this level of emotional complexity. I'm trying to meet us both where we are. Every sentence positioned me as the authority and him as the student. I thought about Adam, my college boyfriend. How I'd sent him job listings for corporate positions when he was passionate about teaching. How I'd sighed when he talked about his students. How I'd made him feel small for wanting something I deemed beneath his potential. I thought about Bridget. Every dismissive comment about her wedding plans. Every article I'd sent about the marriage industrial complex. Every time I'd rolled my eyes at her dreams of having kids and a house in the suburbs. The pattern was undeniable. I wrote an email to Gabriel. Drafted it, deleted it, drafted it again. I'm not writing this to get a response, it began. I just need to say this, and then I'll leave you alone. You were right. About everything. I didn't propose an open relationship, I proposed a hierarchy where my needs mattered and yours didn't. I told myself I was being honest and evolved, but really I was being selfish and cruel. I treated you like you should be grateful I was being upfront about wanting to explore other options, instead of recognizing that what I was asking for was fundamentally disrespectful. I don't blame you for the ambush. I don't blame you for anything. You protected yourself from someone who was treating you as expendable. I'm sorry for what I put you through. I'm sorry for making you feel like you weren't enough when the truth is, I was the one who wasn't enough, not emotionally mature enough, not secure enough, not kind enough. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be. I saved it in my drafts. Didn't send it. Gabriel had moved on. Sending it would be about making myself feel better, not about his healing. I had to let him go. 3 months later, I met with my father for lunch. It was stiff at first. We ordered food, made small talk about work and weather. I've been in therapy, I told him. Working on a lot of things. He nodded slowly. Your mother mentioned. I don't expect you to change the will back, I continued. Or to trust me right away. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did to Gabriel. What I've been doing to people for years. And? He asked. And I'm trying to do better. I can't undo what I did, but I can make sure I don't keep doing it. My father was quiet, studying me. Your mother thinks you mean it this time. I do. Time will tell. He took a sip of his coffee. But I'm willing to have lunch again. See how things go. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was a door left open. I saw Gabriel one last time, 6 months after the ambush. He was at a restaurant with the red-haired woman, Colette, I'd learned her name was, and another couple. They looked comfortable together. Happy, our eyes met across the room. He nodded once, polite but distant. The nod you'd give an acquaintance. I nodded back. That was all. He turned back to his table, to his life, to a future that no longer included me in any way. And I turned back to mine. A year after everything fell apart, I'm still rebuilding. Some colleagues have warmed back up to me. Others never will. I've learned to accept that. Dr. Patterson and I are cordial now, but we'll never be friends. Ingrid transferred to another department. I don't blame her. Bridget and I have coffee once a month. The conversations are careful, but they're real. She's pregnant now. I'm learning to be genuinely happy for her instead of intellectualizing her choices. My mother and I talk weekly. My father and I have lunch every few months. The trust is rebuilding slowly. I went on a few dates. They didn't go anywhere, but I approached them differently. I listened more. I caught myself when I started to sound condescending. It's hard work, unlearning years of behavior. I still think about Gabriel sometimes. About how different things could have been if I'd approached that conversation as an equal instead of as someone superior. If I'd asked instead of dictated. If I'd been willing to hear no instead of explaining why my yes was more evolved. I can tell myself I was punished for being different, for challenging norms, for being progressive. But that would be another lie. I wasn't punished for the theory. I was punished for the execution. For treating someone I claimed to love like he was a supporting character in my journey of self-discovery. For making him play a role he never consented to. Gabriel didn't destroy me. I destroyed myself, and the hardest part of accepting that is knowing I have to live with the consequences. The damaged reputation. The fractured relationships. The knowledge that I hurt someone who trusted me, but I'm learning to live with it. To sit with the shame and the regret and the understanding that I can't undo what I did. All I can do is be better going forward. Some days, that feels like enough. Most days, it doesn't, but it's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.